Yeah. So yesterday we just covered what is penetration testing and what is the scope of this course and what are the areas we are going to cover and sources we need to refer, and some fundamental concepts like cryptography, encryption and all. So I hope you have gone through this hashing, the differences between the terminology which I have mentioned. So today we are going to extend our theoretical session for a while, and we are going to solve some basic labs from authentication, maybe one or two, and evening also we will have one more session. So we will discuss maybe one more vulnerability or else some more labs on authentication. So after this session, I advise you all to go through this Burbsuit tool, put figure, and try to complete as many labs as possible on authentication. Try to understand what is the difference between each lab and how we are exploiting the vulnerability. Okay. Yeah. So one second. Yeah. So today we are going to just cover these three, I mean these four areas now in this current session. So what is penetration testing phases? We already has covered yesterday, but just we are going to give some deep dive. And what is software development life cycle, and what I mean the tool which we are going to use, that is Burbsuit. So how we are going to use to take advantage of manual testing. And the second one is what is authentication and what is authorization, how they both are same but different, and what is the thing between it. Okay. So as I mentioned, like penetration testing is often referred as like pen testing or ethical hacking. So what we are going to do is we are trying to exploit the application, we are trying to take advantage of the vulnerabilities which are existing in the application, but we are doing it in a responsible manner. So as the primary motive of any attacker is to crack the application, like to take advantage of any kind of vulnerabilities within the application. But what we are going to do is we are we are only performing the testing to certain extent to know the vulnerabilities which are there in the application. That is the major and one and only difference between a thief and a cop, I can say. So as a penetration testers, we are testing applications or infrastructures or whatever comes in our way, only to make sure that we are getting stronger, we are making a better application in the perspective of security and functionality. So we had this, like the first thing is we need to do planning, and second one is scanning, and go for some gaining access, trying to maintain and report it back. These are the ones we do. And I mentioned the same, like black box testing means you don't have any prior knowledge of the system or any kind of framework or scenarios, like, but we are trying to improvise our attacks based on the information which we are gaining. That's the thing. Okay. And second one is white box testing, where we have full knowledge. This is a very ideal scenario, but nobody knows anything like completely. Gray box testing is what we do in real time organizations. Okay. So this is just a list of tools which we are going to use if we need to perform some penetration testing. One second, let me check. Yeah, I have an nmap tool. One second. So I just want to demonstrate one thing. So there is a tool called nmap, where we are scanning any kind of domains, and aggressively we can try for so many vulnerabilities here. So this is called as nmap, but in Windows it will be shown as zenmap. But if you go for Kali Linux, it will be shown as nmap only. For example, if I want to check thing. So instead of no, I mean this is the command. If we are using Linux, if we are using Kali Linux, this is the command we need to go there. But in Windows we are just selecting whether the is it intent scan, are we going to check all the ports, etc. So everything we can see here. Okay. So it is just an intent scan and all. So no ping means it's a passive scan. So if we initiate, the tool will reach out to this nmap.org. The tool will reach out to the domain which we have specified, that is ine.com, and it will check whatever all the ports available, and If possible, I think it will give us like the operating system or any kind of framework details also. Okay, so this is just a brief. Let it complete. I think it won't take more than a minute. Yeah, meanwhile I would like to give difference between two things. Okay, there is a terminology that is active scan and a passive scan. So what is the difference between them? So passive thing is we are trying to do our investigation, or we are trying to perform any attack discreetly, like without alerting the system. So yesterday I mentioned, like if some attacker is trying to do some things, or if the attacker is trying to visit our domain or organization with malicious intent, so we will get an alert. That's what security operations people will do. They will try to review the incident and they will try to check, okay, is it safe or not, or do we need to restrict these things and all. That's what it needs to do. Okay, so that type of things, like if we are alerting the attack, like if we are alerting the target which we are attacking, that is called as active scan, aggressive scan. Okay, but if we are trying to collect details with minimal thing, that is called as passive scan. So passive testing means we are implementing, or we are performing test cases in a manner that it is not going to alert the security people. So if it is going to alert, no matter what, I am trying to do things like in a very aggressive way, that is called as active scan or active testing. So I would like to know the difference between these two guys, because in interview they will ask. Okay. So yeah, the scan is completed, and here we are able to see something with in port 80. There is some details like these are all fundamental only. There is no need to panic or think more, guys. This is just like I'm just showing. Okay, we are giving the a domain, and we are seeing, okay, what and all. OS fingerprinting. Okay, I think TCP. Okay, or else let's give this demo test file. Okay. And instead of this, I would like to know what is the operating system of the server. OS. Okay. So if you see, like this is a terminology you are seeing T4, that means it is just a bit aggressive scan, like T1, T2, T3, T4, T5. These are the active to passive scan, like on a scale of T1 to T5. If we are giving a command, so it will just go either aggressively or it will go and scan the target passively. That's what going to happen here. Just please don't mind. I think there is no need to like think like, okay, I don't know this command or what this tool is doing. So don't think like that. What I am just trying to say is, this is a tool. So if I am giving a domain which I want to get some information on, if I am just giving a command and mention it to perform some active scan, so it will give me some limited details. Okay, this is the IP address of this domain. Okay, that's what it will. So here you can see there is a server header called Apache Coet. What that mean? So the server which is used by this particular application is dealing with Apache. Apart, nothing much. Okay, and JSP means JavaScript pages. So we are collecting some information here. Okay, what kind of SHA algorithm for encryption it is using? You can see that is SHA-256. This is like, one second. Let me. I don't know how to zoom in here. Like, is it visible clearly, or we need to do I need to increase the font or something? What? Yeah.
Jenny.
Yeah. Yeah, much better maybe. Okay, yeah. So we are able to see the server OS version or co JSP is the engine which the application is running, and how many ports are open and how many ports are closed. So port number 80 for HTTP, port number 443 per HTTP. Yes. So these are all the like information like encryption algorithm, public key size, encryption type, RSA means symmetric encryption, and the encryption algorithm you can see MD5. Yesterday we have I have given you some input in this. So these are the things like when we are trying to scan an application, so we need to make sure that we need to get as much as you can see here there is no exact operating system revealed, but you can see based on the based on the scan it is showing that the server might be Microsoft Windows Server 2008 version. 92% it is sure that this would be the operating system. Okay, and it is this varies, but whatever the things like we need to know, like for a fundamental preliminary thing we can see here. That's what I would like to say. So for that, Nmap is a tool. Apart nothing you need to remember now. Okay, so once we have gone through like all these things, like we are with this preliminary things, so make a note. Anyhow I'm going to share this presentation, so make a note of these tools. Like this is a framework and Kali Linux is an operating system. So rest are the tools which are already installed in a Kali Linux. If you configured your system, I will try to I'll let you know guys like how to install this at a later point of time, maybe today evening. Okay, and yesterday I have shown you who is like where we are collecting fundamental information. So this SSL is also a test case. I will I'll try to explain this later. Okay. So now coming to software development life cycle, why this is important. Okay, so if we are going to develop a web application, whether it might be a payment platform or an e-commerce website or any kind of entertainment thing like OTT like Netflix or YouTube or even Gmail services or any kind of information, the first thing we need to do is what we are going to do, what is the product we are going to build. That comes under planning phase. And next thing is what are the requirements to build this product, that is the second one. And how we are going to design. So designing comes like what are the elements, like what kind of images we need to keep and how which kind of framework we need to use, whether it by using JavaScript pages or PHP. So many types of things are there. So there is no need to go that much like in a framework point of view. I just want you to understand this is the step by step we are going to think. So once we have all the requirements and planning done and we know what kind of components we are using in our product, then we are going to implement it. Here where SAST comes, and when we are going to test it, here where DAST and manual testing comes. Once these two phases are passed, then we are going to deploy our product. And there is a final phase called maintain. What is the maintenance here? So you might be aware that every software will keep on getting updated, maybe weekly or maybe sprint wise, that is 2 weeks once, or monthly or even annually also. But the feedback, let's say if I developed an application, so maybe amazon.com, so if I developed that application, I need to make sure to get the feedback from the users. Is there any real-time issues they are facing? Can I do something better with my application? So based on the feedback, I am again going to this planning stage and I am implementing the feedback and necessary changes, and this will be like a loop. Okay, this is called a software development life cycle. Okay, that is the thing. And as I mentioned, like under maintenance we know like what are, if there are any bugs or any kind of performance optimization we can do, any kind of enhancements or patching work, so we are going to perform in the maintenance based on the feedback. So this again all the loop will be there. So there is one more terminology I would like to say. Initially the testing or any kind of software development is like a linear thing. So these three areas will be done by one team. Coding and developing will be done by one team. Real-time deployment will be done by one team, and testing will be done by one team. Feedback is collected by other team. So nowadays there came a terminology, I think everybody might be aware of it, that is called as DevOps. DevOps ops means operations, dev means developing. So instead of waiting for this entire development to complete for testing, we are testing in a real time environment only. So during the coding phase only, security people are going to test the code and make sure it is optimal. During the deployment phase only, they will try to scan and they will try to manually test the application very aggressively, and they are going to implement changes immediately. So what is the difference here? Initially teams are different, coordination is different, it is linear, like one by one it used to go. But under the terminology DevOps, we are expecting teams to interact with each other, make sure they are sorting out whatever the issues coming in any phase. In planning phase, if we are seeing any issues, okay, if I am trying to build an e-commerce application, what kind of vulnerabilities or threats I am going to face in the real time, what kind of remedies I am going to implement in the beginning itself. So like this, every team is going to work with each other, and that's what called as DevOps. Okay, it is an integrated thing of software development lifecycle, and if we are implementing security within the integration, that is called as DevSecOps. Okay, so I'm just giving you a brief, guys. There is no need to think much. Like here you can see, under the planning phase, we are going for threat modeling and what kind of risks we are facing, and compliance thing. So before building the product itself, yesterday I have shown you some frameworks like European Union GDPR will be there, NIST for USA based applications, right? So if any kind of if I am developing a application in certain area, so I am going to consider these three in the planning phase itself, and based on my optimal thing, I am going to develop the code. So during the coding phase itself, we are performing SAST. So we are scanning our code with real-time tools, and we are trying to update the code in the coding phase itself. So instead, before going build itself, I am making sure that my code is pure. Okay, here you can see, like as I mentioned yesterday, like software component analysis and SAS, these are going to get implemented in the DevSecOps within the coding phase itself. Okay, and when we are building, like then we are going for scanning etc. for DAST and all. So once this build is done and it is ready to deploy under QA phase, you can see implementation of DAST, manual penetration testing, fuzzing, and IAST. IAST is integrated application security testing. So this won't be much used to us, like ignore this completely. And once we are deploying the applications, then we are going to implement this cloud thing. So if there is a cloud, if we are deploying our application in cloud, that is a different scenario. And coming to final deployment, we are going to monitor, as I mentioned, security operations thing we are going to see here. So if there is any kind of suspicious activity happening on our application, then alert will be come to this panel, that is either Splunk pod or ELK stack. So if we are deploying our applications in cloud, then Amazon Web Services, that duty, and Azure Sentinel, these two are going to give us a proper threat detection thing. And these are all the tools. So whatever the here you can see, if it is DAST, we are going to perform it either by using Zap or Burpsuit or any other tool. If we are performing penetration testing, we are going to use these frameworks. So the relevant functions and the tools which we need to perform them are briefed here. Okay, just after this session, just take a look at this screenshot and especially this slide, and just make a note of, okay, what is AWS guard duty and what it does in real time. Don't go that much deep, there is no need for it. Now let's discuss about authentication and authorization. So what is authentication? If you are logging in a page, what you are going to do, you are going to give your username and password, and that is called as verifying the user. That is what authentication is about. So if I am logging into my page or my application, and if I am logging to see my area, so the credentials which I am going to give is only known to me. That means only this person is capable of providing the credentials which belong to him. So we are verifying ourselves. That is what authentication is about. So if I am saying myself, I am person X, and I am giving credentials which belongs to person X, then I am X. So that's what it is about. Okay, so authentication is verifying yourself. Okay, then what is authorization? Authorization is what you can do. You are an authenticated user, okay. Then what you can do? If we talk generally, so let's say there is an organization, there are so many number of employees will be there. Some may be developers, some may be testers, some are managers, some are administrators, some are there just for maintenance, some are there for security, okay. But everybody can't perform, or there is no need for everybody to have the same rights, because their roles and responsibilities are different. That's what I would like you to understand here. Yes, you came here for security, you are working as a watchman. There is no need for you to go and work on a PC, right? So there is no need for him to, I mean, there is no scope for him to have a privilege of accessing a PC, okay. Or else if I am a developer, all I need is how I am writing the code and how I am deploying it into the server. There is no need for me to check how the organization works, or what kind of guidelines, or what kind of internal documents are run. These are all unnecessary. So if somebody verifying myself as a manager, I need to know, or I need to get access for what the areas the manager needs to see, not everything. So that's what is the difference between authentication and authorization. So authentication is it verifies who you are. It is just confirming in your identity, either by username, passwords, or biometrics like fingerprint or retina scan, etc. Or there will be one more scenario called tokens. Maybe in movies or series you may have seen that if you want to access a particular system, you should be there giving your credentials, retina scan will be there, and there is a pen drive or something, any device you need to connect, because the device is supposed to be with you only. So this is only for verifying yourself, that is thing. And the second thing is, once user is authenticated, then what he can do, what are the rights he have to access particular areas of application is authorization. So let's say if I'm I just want to give one more example. So let's say if I am a customer and I logged into Amazon, I'm not a seller, I'm a customer. So seller only should have access to decide the price of the product, not the customer. Customer only need to see what is the price of the product, and he is willing to buy, he can, okay. So any kind of offers or anything, these needs to be done by either Amazon platform or the seller only. So even though so many people are involved in running the application, but depending upon the roles and responsibilities, we have our rights are limited, okay. That's what authorization is about. How authentication used to be evolved, this is just a brief. So in 1960s and all, we only have just a passwords like which is stored in plain text like notepad, etc. But this is very as security issues are coming to your concern, so this can be stolen by anybody. So password breach first happened in world in 1962, or at least reported at that point of time. So next, then yesterday as we talked like on cryptography, then cryptography came into picture, okay. There are so many algorithms which changed the raw text into cipher text, so that it is not readable even though our data leak. That's what it is about. So then next, dynamic password. What is dynamic password? It keeps on changing in real time. If any, but I think majorly everybody might have used. So if Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator, if you install on your phone, there will be a password or a token keep on changing for every minute. So instead of giving password, we are just giving this token which is generated by a third party service, okay. That's what dynamic passwords is about, okay. And later in 90s came one more layer for security, that is called as transport layer security. I will explain in next session. So this is added. Next, in 2000s, like we came across multi-factor authentication. So as you can see, till now there is only a single factor authentication. If I am a user, I am giving my password. If I am a user, I am using my token. Why not both? That idea came in 2000, that is multi-factor authentication. So instead of like if you guys try to log in into your Gmail from any kind of suddenly from a new area or a new device, a pop-up will come to your phone. That is what multi-factor authentication is. Not only a single providing password is not enough. We need to authenticate, or we need to verify ourselves from a third party thing also. That's what multi-factor authentication is about. It's by providing password or getting a OTP from phone or accepting a prompt from our phone. So it can be anything. Okay. Then later in 2010s, okay, these are all device oriented things. So password can be known or OTPs can be stolen. But then came another factor called biometrics, because this is absolutely unique to every person. No two-person fingerprints are same. So biometrics is also taken into consideration, and when we are entering offices or something, we need to give our fingerprints to enter into a room, or laptops came like by verifying by fingerprint or facial recognition, etc. Okay, multi-factor authentication. And there is one more terminology called single sign-on. I will explain now in next slides. Okay. And in 2020s, instead of going or with any kind of passwords or something, so we are directly authenticating with pass keys, like which are generated by the security tokens, etc. But these are a failure, I can say. These are getting implemented in a controlled environment only, because without some multi-factor thing, so this is going to give a threat. That is what about. Okay. So as I mentioned, so types of authentication, so that is password based, multi-factor authentication, taking advantage of biometrics, and tokens generated by third party applications. Okay, certificate based, like adaptive and all. So you need to remember these four things. Okay, so I am giving usernames and passwords, and if I am adding another factor, it should add some value, right? So what is this? Something, multi-factor, additional factor. Instead of password, it can be a pin or it can be security questions. You may have answered when creating emails or updating course, which school you studied, what is the car number of your your father's first purchased car. Only you may know all these security questions. Something you have, so it may be your phone which you get prompt and all, any kind of hardware tokens, etc. And biometrics, you only have something you are, it belongs to you only, something you can do, your behavioral patterns. Like if I am, as I mentioned, like if I am logging every day on Hyderabad or Bangalore, and if suddenly out of nowhere from USA, or if any areas like my login is happening, that means some my security is compromised. Okay. Now there is new mechanisms also came, that is authentication protocols. Instead of just proceeding with every time these passwords and multi-factor authentication, there is a protocol. So I can explain this simple thing. OAuth 2.0, this is a authentication protocol. Everybody have used it in real time. For example, you have Gmail and you are trying to access a third party website. So instead of creating a new account there, you are pressing sign in via Google. One second. Sorry. Yeah, sign in via Google or sign in via Apple account or sign in with Facebook or Instagram account. That is what OAuth 2.0 about. We have already one account, we have already a set of credentials on a platform, and we are using that credentials on a platform to validate us in a third party website. Okay, that is what OAuth 2.0 is about. Okay, and OpenID is an additional security feature. You just need to know, there is nothing to research here. So it will just simply use this OAuth 2.0 only, but it will add one more authentication layer. Maybe you may get one more prompt on your mobiles that you are logging into some third party platform, etc. And coming to next, that is SAML. Full definition is Security Assertion Markup Language. You need to remember this definitely. What is this about? So if I am logging in an organization, if I am currently working, right? So if I am logging in my laptop, I already given my credentials when I am signing in. So my username or password, at the same time any kind of authentication thing. Once I done, whatever the areas I am going to access in my organization computer, we should never ask credentials. That is what single sign on, enterprise SSO, single sign on. This is the definition. So why this is important? So with my enterprise credentials, I am going to log in on whatever the applications I can access in my organization laptop. That is what it is. Single sign-on, and it will be provided by SAML. Okay. And fourth one is Kerberos. Kerberos is a network authentication thing. Since we are not dealing with network security, there is no need to worry about as of now. But Kerberos is a network authentication. So if I am going to log in a network, or if I am going to see the traffic of the network, this helps there. But coming to web application, you guys need to know these three only: OAuth 2.0, OpenID Connect, and SAML. You can simply remember as single sign on. Okay. So again, one more thing, these are the if we are dealing with two factors, that comes under two-factor authentication, where we are sharing OTPs, etc. and addition of SSL. I will discuss this in a later sessions and all. JWT tokens will comes under APIs, application programming interface. As I mentioned yesterday, I have given you a diagram also. So from Amazon, if I am trying to select a product, I need to make the payment from bank. So bank is a different platform, Amazon is a different platform. How these two are going to get interacted? By means of APIs. So JSON Web Tokens is a authentication protocol for implementing application programming interfaces. We will discuss this later. Okay. And next is web authentication. So biometric support or any kind like phishing thing, etc., which will be covered here. This is also outdated only. I'm just sharing for reference. Okay. So these are all authentication things. Why? Where we are verifying ourselves, we are verifying the users only. Okay. So now coming to authorization, how we are going to give rights, how we are specifying rights for a particular user. Okay, that is role based access control is the trending one. This is the one used by majority of the thing. So if I am a developer, I should have access of resources which are supposed to be used by developer. If I am a security tester, then only I need to get use of security tools like Pursuit or Zap, etc. If I am a manager, I need to just see the metrics like how the performance is going. So depending upon the role, it is limiting my access to the resource. Okay. Discretionary access control. So I'm manager, if I can say, or else I'm a team lead. I have more access than the people who are working under me, right? But if I'm not there, and if I want someone to perform the task on behalf of me, I can give them temporary access to that particular area. That's what called as discretionary access control. Next is mandatory access control. So if somebody wants to be there, these are mostly physical in nature only. If I am going to enter in a area like security zone, etc., so I am going to have a manual code, etc. So this will be like this is way beyond like a normal security thing. Like physical perimeter verification will be there. That comes under mandatory. Okay. And then attribute based access control. This also you will understand in like when we are trying to solve labs in real time. So attribute based access control means like if I am trying to be access something and I have some resources already in hand, then I can be considered. This you will get a clear picture like when you are trying to things. So currently I want you guys to understand this main role based access control. So based upon the user role, you are going to get a privileges. Okay. And one more thing, these are some other things like access control is, so instead of configuring the rules in real time, we already created customized rules. Okay. For example, if a new user is coming, there will be some default privileges for him. So or else some registered user is, there will be a default privileges for him. So we already configure all the things, and whoever comes under that particular role will have the access to the list which we already written. Okay. That is one thing. And policy based access control, it will be depending on for example, if my company priorities are changing, so I am trying to change the authorization or else access levels to a different thing. That is one thing. And these two you guys need to remember. Principle of least privilege. Every user is a threat. You need to configure your security like that. So every user, how much minimum permissions are needed, that should be given, not more than that. That's what called as principle of least privilege. Any user who is trying to register in your system or in your application should have as least privileges as possible, okay, depending upon the need. And one more thing, that is called just-in-time access. If you guys are already working, you may be aware of this. Just-in-time access means like I am giving temporary privileges. Like instead of asking someone to give me some privilege to perform some action, so this will be granted for me. I can do anything I want within a particular time. Okay. So these are the ones like modern, like in current day, like these are the trending areas. So passwordless authentication, as I mentioned, passkeys are using biometrics like fingerprints or retinal scan, etc. So user is not asked to give his password, he needs to give his biometrics. Okay. Zero trust model means never trust anybody. Whoever is coming into your application, you need to make sure that they are verifying themselves often. Okay. Adaptive authentication means like based on the behavior of the user, we are going to give him privileges, but this is a very risky based. We never know, the intention can change in a single time. Okay. And orchestration is a different area. There is I mean, you can research if you want, but it won't be applicable in our course. So as I mentioned, OAuth is a security standard, like one application gives permission to access data in other application. Best example is authenticating ourselves by using Gmail. Okay. And SAML is single sign-on technology. So if I am logging in an organization laptop, everything I am doing there, it will be authenticated by our organization only, our organization credentials only. No personal or no any additional third-party credentials are going to be used there. That is what called as single sign-on. Okay. So these are the best practices if anybody is going to start an organization. Enforcing multi-factor authentication and separating authentication and authorization and treating them as two different scenarios will be the best. And try to log every user who is logged in or what he is doing. Okay, and we need to review this thing. Any doubts so far? Sandeep Chepu.
Clear, no doubt.
Okay. So just giving a brief, we just discussed about the tools which we are implementing in penetration testing. You guys need to go through this, and next one is what is software development lifecycle and what is DevSecOps. So which area we are going to perform threat modeling. In interview, this is very important. They will ask you in which phase you are performing threat modeling. That should be planning, not coding. Okay. In which area you are going to check for dependencies, etc. So it will be in the build phase. So just go through, remember these are very important. Like we may consider, okay, we are learning so many tests and all, why they ask fundamentals and all, but it is very necessary for you guys to remember these things. And as I mentioned, go through authentication. This evolution is not necessary, but types of authentication is definitely needed. Try to go deep and dig deep. Okay. Let's perform. Okay, this is a lab where we have candidate usernames. One second. Yeah, okay. These are all usernames, like mock usernames. We are going to crack this authentication thing, and there is a list of passwords also which we can see here. Okay. Okay. Let's start the lab. So this is a web page. As you can see, this is a blog. Some people are just posting some like articles with images and all. You can see, if I want, I can see the article, and you can see there is a area for leaving a comment. by mentioning the name, email and website. Okay, let's go to the home page. Okay, what is the lab thing here? So this lab is vulnerable to username enumeration and password brute force attacks. So just give me a quick brief. Let me. So brute force is nothing but there will be a list of usernames which are generic in nature, or like if you are opening a router or if you are doing something, there will be some default usernames and passwords like administrator, user, guest. These are all usernames which are there. Okay, right? So we have a list of usernames and we have a list of guessable passwords or default passwords, and we are trying to check is there any account with matches the combination of this username and lab passwords. Okay, so now you can see login page is there. We need to authenticate with what? Username and password. So we need to capture this request in the pursuit. Let's clear all these things first. There is no need for everything. So now you can see there is a username. So I don't know anything. I'm just giving admin and I'm just giving the password as 12345 and I'm trying to log in. It anyhow this is not valid, but I captured the request here. As you can see, the request is there, and the details I have given is username equal to admin, password equal to 12345. So the response I got is 200. Okay, but I didn't logged in. Okay, you can see this also. For example, instead of checking here in this code way, you can render this thing. There will be an option. Yeah, here there it is. So what is the response for the parameters I have given here? I can see there is a thing called invalid username. Okay, so now what we are going to do here is we are going to crack into the application with the list of available usernames and passwords. Understood? Uh, One second, guys. Content length is 3140. Yeah, there is the thing which we are going to take our advantage here is, so if we are rendering, you are getting what? Invalid username. If username is real, if username matches, then we are going to get invalid password. Okay, so the response will change depending upon the input which we are giving here. Okay, and you can see there is a issue, there is a header called content length. Okay, 3140 characters are there in this response. Okay, so if this is different, for example, we are seeing only invalid username, right? So if some response is changes, this content length will get changed, right? So based on that we are going to test this. Okay, so I am just taking this request, I am sending it to intruder. So there will be 4 types of attacks in intruder. Intruder means intrusion. I am trying to penetrate into application. That's what intruder is about. Okay, if you want to perform any kind of brute forcing or something, we are going to check this. So before starting the attack, I need to choose my variables. What I need to choose? I need to choose the username and I need to choose the area called password. Okay, just go through the first thing, that is admin. If I am trying to add here, then admin is selected, and what are all the things which we need to paste here? Let me just give me a minute. So these are all the usernames you can see here, right? Copy all. So I copied all. I'm just pasting them. As you can see, so I have chosen the username variable here. I just kept my position as add. It was selected in two dollar symbols, if you may observe. So these are all the usernames which we are guessing currently. Okay, and this is one thing. So now what we need to do is, I already seen one thing here in this lab. So if username is not correct, I am getting response as what? Invalid username. So am I going to get any other response if one of the username is actually true? That is my test here. Okay, are we clear? I hope yes. So now let's start the attack and I will explain what's happening here. You can see the content length is remaining same 3248. Okay, so let's take the first thing. So the first request is same, so it is sending admin and password. Second request, as you can see, the username is changed to Carlos. Third request, username is changed to root, username is changed to admin, but the password is remaining the same. Okay, so whatever the thing is there, I am getting the response as invalid user only. That's why I am able to see 3248 characters only. So now let's see what we need here is, if the username is valid, the content number should be, I mean content length should be different. So that is what my requirement is. So I am just cross checking. Let the attack complete. It won't take much time. So every user I am giving, it is going to change in every request. So and it is giving us what is the response we are getting. But you can say one second. You can see invalid username only, nothing less, nothing much. Let the attack complete. I mean, are you guys able to understand what I am doing here?
Yes, sir.
Even if you guys want to discuss at a later point of time also, like please do let me know. Don't hesitate. Since this is a community edition, it is taking time. So I will try to get. Yeah. Here.
మీ వాయిస్ బ్రేక్ అవుతుందన్న నెట్వర్క్ ఇష్యూ అనుకుంటాను.
Is everybody facing the same? Pavan, Sai, Naveen, anybody, like everybody, అందరికి వాయిస్ నాకు లాగ్ వస్తుందా?
క్లియర్ వాయిస్ ఇస్ క్లియర్.
మేబీ సిగ్నల్ ఇష్యూ ఏమో అవి ఒకసారి చూడు.
బ్రేక్ అవుతాను, అప్పుడప్పుడు బ్రేక్ అవుతాను.
Okay, I'll switch to headphones. Okay, let this attack complete. Just a minute, I'll be back. ఇప్పుడు నా వాయిస్ క్లియర్ ఉందా?
క్లియర్ అండి.
ఓకే, అభి నీకు?
హలో.
ఓకే. సో ఇప్పుడు ఒకసారి చూడండి, ప్రతి యూజర్ నేమ్కి 3248 ఉంది, బట్ వీ హ్యావ్ వన్ రెస్పాన్స్ విత్ కంటెంట్ లెంత్ డిఫరెంట్. సో ఓకే, లెట్స్ చెక్ ద రెస్పాన్స్. Here you can see incorrect password. Let's render the page in real time. Here you can see that incorrect password. What does that mean? That means username is auto discover. Are we clear, guys?
క్లియర్ అండి.
సో ఇప్పుడు నేనేం చేస్తున్నా అంటే ఈసారి ఆటో డిస్కవర్ అనేది కరెక్ట్ అయింది కాబట్టి ఈ రిక్వెస్ట్ని మళ్ళీ ఇంట్రూడర్లోకి తీసుకుంటున్నా. ఓకే, సో now what we did before is we just checked the usernames. Now what we am going to do is we are checking the password list. Okay, so I'm just adding the password into the scope, and I'm just taking 1 second, where, yeah, the passwords, default passwords which they have given, 12345 password, query, etc. So I'm just adding the passwords list which needs to be gets checked. Let's start attack. As you can see, the default length is 3250. What that mean? That output is saying incorrect password. Now again the same tactic which we are going to use, we are going to analyze is there any change in the content length or in the response. Okay. If username and password matches, then the status code also will get changed. Okay, I'm sorry I didn't give a brief about the status codes. It is important. I will give. Generally, like in community edition, it will be a bit slow only when we are performing this kind of brute force attacks, etc. But I think there will be scope for professional edition. I'll try to activate and use it for our labs.
అన్నా,
Hmm.
సారీ ఫర్ డిస్టర్బ్ యూ. ఇక్కడ
చెప్పు.
పవర్ కట్ అయ్యి నెట్వర్క్ చాలా ఇబ్బంది
ఇట్స్ ఓకే, ఇట్స్ ఓకే. తర్వాత జాయిన్
అవుతుంది.
అవ్వు.
మధ్యలో
నేను
నెట్
ఎలాగో
వస్తుందన్న.
రికార్డింగ్ అప్లోడ్ చేస్తా. ఓకే.
అదే.
ఓకే.
ఓకే.
Hmm.
డౌట్ అన్నా,
Hmm.
ఇప్పుడు మనము యూజర్ నేమ్ పాస్వర్డ్ సెపరేట్ గా చూసుకుంటున్నాం కదా,
Hmm.
బోత్ అట్ ఎ టైం చూసుకునే వీలు అవుతుందా? క్రాస్ చెక్
చూస్తుంది. బోత్ కూడా ఎట్ ఎ టైం చూడొచ్చు.
చూడొచ్చా?
అది క్లస్టర్ బాంబ్ అటాక్ ఉంటుంది, స్నైపర్ అటాక్ కాదు. ఇక్కడ చూడండి, లైక్ 3250 టిల్ కేమ్, బట్ హియర్ ఐఎమ్
ఓకే.
సీయింగ్ 302 రెస్పాన్స్. ఓకే, దట్ మీన్స్ దీస్ credentials are valid and the password is 77777. 1 second, guys. ఇది చేంజ్ ఎందుకు వచ్చింది? ఇన్కరెక్ట్ పాస్వర్డ్. But anyhow, like we got our answer here, so it is nothing but this one. ఎప్పుడైనా ఒక యూజర్ ఆథెంటికేషన్ సక్సెస్ అయినప్పుడు లైక్ వీ విల్ గెట్ రెస్పాన్స్ ఇన్ 300. ఓకే, సో ఇప్పుడు దీని ఒకసారి మనం చూద్దాం. రెస్పాన్స్ ఇన్ బ్రౌజర్ తీసుకోండి. 1 second. So the username is what? Auto discover, and the password is 777777. See, we solved the lab. Okay. The attack we performed is intruder, and intruder we performed sniper attack. So why sniper attack lo sniper attack ఇది ఒక just demonstration అనుకోండి. So we are going to take a single variable here and we are going to give the values. Okay, అలా కాకుండా two variables కి two payloads ఇవ్వాలంటే battering ram and depends like parallel గా run అవ్వడం. So these are all the attacks, like anyhow we are going to perform these attacks for other labs also. Now we used sniper attack. So for a single area, if we are giving payloads like this, so that's what this is about. And we can try to change also. You can say this is simple list, okay, right? So instead of like character substitution, you can say, so if user is entering a, I can ask it to change to 4 and send the payload. Okay, depending upon these things, like it will be there. Okay, and you can see if I'm just giving simple brute force payload, like the maximum number of payloads I can give is 16,79,616. Okay, so that is the thing here, and we solved the lab. Like with this is just a simple lab. Okay, there is nothing need to worry about. All you can see is they already given you a list of usernames, they already given you a list of passwords. I'm asking you guys, like everybody create an account in Portswigger and go through these labs. Any doubts in this lab till now?
Clear enough.
Okay, so anyhow it's been an hour. I'm concluding the session now. Evening around 7 o'clock or 7:30, I will take one more session for sure. Okay. So there are more labs here. I just shown you some beginning lab only. This is user enumeration, and next labs I am going to see is like multi-factor authentication bypass this one, and I am going to take another lab of practitioner thing. So once these labs are done, I advise you like go through and try to do as much as you can, like solve as much as you can. Okay, so I will take one practitioner lab and I will take one expert lab. Okay, and the rest I am asking you guys to go through
Okay, no.
and check with all the types of authentication I have given, go through research, do whatever you want. Okay,
Okay.
it's okay. Okay, thanks guys. I'll upload the session in a while, and you can just check it in the same drive link I have shared. Okay, bye.
Okay, no.